What's up, everyone? Genesis here, and we have a brand new episode of the Haven Exchange for your listening pleasures. But before we get to it, check us out on Patreon and become a member today at patreon.com/Haven Exchange. And for just $1 a month, you can support the podcast directly and also gain access to patron-only polls for voting on the next topic, as well as many other sweet benefits at various tiers. Just like our gold and silver tier patrons, Tashamonetsims and Nerder She Wrote, out here showing their support. So major shout outs to them. Now, on this episode, we reflect back on each of our memories of the September 11th attacks, what it was like for us hearing the news, and how we felt at the time when it was all going down. We'd love to hear your experience as well, so let us know what that day was like for you. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in and checking out another episode of the Haven Exchange. Let's get right to it.
This is the Haven Exchange.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Haven Exchange, a weekly podcast brought to you by founders of the Gamers Haven Network, myself, Genesis_GH, and my fellas are here with me once again. Big RC, what's going on, my dude?
Not much, man. Just surviving this COVID situation. I'm really looking forward towards 2021.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Mm-hmm. and hopefully it doesn't turn into December 32nd, 2020.
Don't even put that into the universe. We don't need that out there. Yeah. We can't exist that or think that into existence.
Yes.
Yes. And then we have Mr. P-H to the A to the S to the S to the B to the H. Mr. Phantom Rick is in the building.
Oh my goodness. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Drowning in COVID, apparently, from what RC said. I don't know, man. We made it past the holidays, which was slightly depressing. It didn't feel like Christmas, really. I don't know if y'all felt the same way, but
yeah,
it was weird.
We had a little small get together, but it was very, very small. And to be quite honest with you, it was almost the exact same amount of people that we had with last year. I think we just do a small gathering regardless. I think it was like 3 people here.
Oh, okay.
Outside of who live in the house. So
it wasn't even different for you then for this time.
No, it was almost identical. I even spent more on Christmas gifts this year than I did last year. So I don't know what that means, but
you got them stimulus checks.
Nah. I just, I like to give my little girls as much as possible. I always overdo it for Christmas, though. But this year, I mean, with the ferret, tablet, the Switch, I spent way too much money this year.
And then don't forget all the Steam games you bought yourself, too. Man.
Well, so I spent about $130 myself, and then I got like $40 in Steam gift cards for Christmas. So, of course, I had to do that.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
And I plan on spending, because I get paid this week, so I plan on spending. There's like 3 or 4 more games that I got my eye on that I think I'm just gonna get them.
RC, man, is this dude gonna play any of these games? You think?
You know what? Honestly, yeah, I really feel like he's gonna touch about 75% of them.
Yeah,
and only play about 10% of each game.
I knew it. Play 5 minutes each.
It sounded like he was giving me a compliment, but in actuality, he was charging that backhand.
Oh yeah, he was.
Oh, he saw it coming.
He knows it's true, though. He knows it's true. Do you see the play time on his library?
Oh, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have a problem, sir.
Well, I look at it like, hey, this game is incredibly cheap right now. I'll grab it. I'll play it. And then if I don't like it, I'll delete it and refund it. But then there are a few where I'm like, eventually I'm going to get to it. And it's just been years and I haven't gotten to them. because the game industry keeps releasing new games. They need to stop for like 8 months for me to catch up.
Have you ever watched the show Hoarders?
I have. I have.
I'm seeing similar symptoms between the people I've seen on that show and
so I'm hoarding in my Steam library.
You are a digital hoarder.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, it's on sale if I don't get it now. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, there are a few games. Well, okay. So 99% of my Steam library was purchased on a sale. I'm not disputing that, but I feel like you can't. Like, I just bought Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice for like $30. Like,
don't you have that on Xbox?
No, but I told you I'm too afraid to touch my Xbox. And dude, 60 frames, 4K, dude, no.
Where can you go wrong with that?
Exactly.
We need to schedule the intervention.
Coming soon.
Somebody lock his Steam store.
I think.
Listen, we just love you, Phantom. We just love you. It really hurts us.
This guy, yeah, it's bad. I'm not disputing that. You're not wrong. It's pretty bad. I spend way more on Steam than I should, but I'm not gonna stop. You
know what? I'm kind of getting that itch though too. Now that I'm like getting more involved on PC gaming, and I'm seeing these sales too, and I'm like, "Fuck, I want to." And I have a backlog of PC games, to check out. I can see where this is going to become a snowball effect, and like come a year from now, I'm going to be just like Phantom. And man, y'all got to stop me before it gets too out of control.
Yeah, it's going to get bad. See, the only RC here, I think, has a little bit more self-control than you and I do. Because you don't see him going nuts buying shit on Steam like we do, or like I do.
No, he is thoughtful and purposeful in his purchases. Yes, something I lack.
I completely lack that.
So whenever y'all start that new game, I'll eventually buy it myself, or hopefully one of y'all gift it for me, and then we'll just move on.
Mm-hmm. That's how bad Phantom and I are, that we get this shit and then we end up having to gift RC because knowing damn well he's not going to buy the shit because it's just not smart. So not only are we filling our libraries, we're filling up his library on our own behalf. What kind of shit is that?
Speaking of which, you can fight it all you want, sir. But I think when this is over with today, check your Steam email because you're gonna get that copy of Bigfoot, and we're gonna play it.
We're gonna play that 2 times. One to learn it, one to play it, and then it's going in the duster.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Signs of Silence. And what's the other one? Labyrinth?
Labyrinthine. Yeah. We got that, and now everybody's jumping on that Witch-It game. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness!
It's like a hide and go seek game where like some people play as witches and then some people play as the villagers. The trailer makes it look really fun, and I'm seeing a lot of people in the Gamers Haven talking about it. So like, gotta add that one to the list now.
Oh man, I still need to play Murder House, dude. I think I hit 20 hours in Cyberpunk. I want to beat it, but dude, I just and now I'm diving back into The Witcher 3 again.
just stop. Just stop.
Okay, yeah, let's keep going.
We're not talking about Witcher.
Nope.
And you also, so we need to have a Witcher intervention with you. We need to have a Steam library intervention with you. By the time we're going to be hoarding interventions for Phantom.
That's funny. Well, I spent 15 to 20 years hoarding all Metal Gear content. So it's nice to switch it over to The Witcher now, you know? Like I have a new obsession.
I am amazed. I love puzzles, and trying to figure out the way Phantom's brain works is one giant puzzle, and it's what keeps me going. It's what keeps me up at night. Huh? It intrigues me.
Oh my God.
Well, I'll tell you the name of it off air because I don't want somebody to steal the idea. But Jody wants to create a YouTube channel where she has me try new things that I've never tried before. Like, we got into a huge argument because I have never seen The Color Purple. And so she was just like, we just went down this rabbit hole of everything that I've never seen, food I've never tried. And she's like, we're going to make a YouTube channel where it's just me trying shit. that I should have experienced 20 years ago.
It should be that should be what your stream content should be too. We're still waiting for you to try all the different cheeses.
It's not happening. It's not happening. I had a cheese plate in front of me. I had a cheese plate in front of me. 99% of the shit on there looked nasty. I was not putting it anywhere near my face.
It's so good. Unless he melts it and puts it on some fucking Tostitos.
Okay, now that's good. Okay, like cheddar cheese, sprinkle it on the chip.
Yes, we know.
Microwave, yeah. There's some salsa on there, yeah. What do they call those? Ghetto nachos?
Yeah, the poor man's nachos. That's exactly what they are. They are fire at like 2 a.m. after you've been having some cocktails.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Oh, man. Anyways, on tonight's episode, actually, this topic was the topic we're going to be talking about on this episode is one of the ones that Phantom, I believe, had suggested. And we had put out a poll on our Patreon, patreon.com/Haven Exchange, where Patreon members got to vote on which topic we were going to record next. And the topic we're going to be talking about is the result of that poll, which is, where were we on 9/11/01? Phantom, what spawned this question? What were you interested in adding this as a topic for us to come together and discuss?
I'm curious about this as well.
You know what? It started because I was scrolling through Facebook one day when I was, oddly enough, I think it was around September 11th, but there was a post that a buddy of ours had made. I won't say his name, but there was a post that a buddy of ours had made where he said, oh, you know, it's always never forget 9/11, but oh, get over slavery. You know, that whole argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just at the same time, I was actually thinking about topics, and it made me think of that very specific day where I remember the breakfast I had that morning. I remember what happened where I was at, what happened when I got home. And, you know, that's kind of locked in my memory forever. And I was just curious because, you know, I think both of you are a little older than me. I know RC's just a year or two older than me or something like that. Jen, I'm not exactly sure how old you are. Aren't you like, you're probably 50, right?
Jesus. No, I just turned 35. I think.
You think this man doesn't know? Okay. Well, yeah.
You get to a certain age and you start not caring or forgetting.
This guy. Yeah. So, you know, it just kind of got me thinking, like, you know, you all are a little older than me during that time, so you would probably have a better memory of that day. I was just curious, you know, like what happened? Where were you all at? Like, do you remember the panic that was going on or any of that stuff?
Yeah. Man, like it just happened out of nowhere. I was definitely in high school during the time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was a junior. I think I was running late to class. I don't remember exactly, but I remember that nobody was in the hallway. And then I know that we had TVs in the cafeteria hanging up, and the news was on about like we were attacked in New York City. And I remember looking at the screen and like, I'll say about like 10 people surrounding the TV watching it, stunned, not moving, not doing anything. I'm reading the headline news about like how the Twin Towers were attacked. And I think when I went back to class, 'cause I was running late, I think that was the time the other plane struck the other building as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm hearing this like while I was in class. So I think during that whole day, we weren't doing nothing but just waiting to hear more news, you know?
We went to the same high school, yeah?
We should have, yeah.
If you were a junior, because you were a year ahead of me, I believe.
I believe I was.
So that would have put me at, I could have swore I was a freshman, but maybe I was a sophomore at that time then.
Yeah, I just remember not doing no type of work, not whatsoever. So when I got home, like, of course, you know, my mother and father were, you know, in shock and awe about the situation. And I just remember that house being quiet, and they would just glued to that TV the whole fucking day and night watching that shit.
Do you remember what was going through your head seeing that?
Confusion on like why back then, you know, I'm a teenager, man. I don't know much about the real world or the adulthood and everything. Like, I'm thinking like, why would somebody attack us?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, why would they do this? Why would they hijack planes and run into the building and all that stuff? And as I got older, figure out, how powerful the United States is and how some other countries envy us or like just don't like us, period. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like back then, I wasn't thinking like that, or I didn't have that information. So I'm just like shocked on myself, and I didn't know what to say or what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that time. So I was just absorbing all this stuff in, and I'm one of those type of people that just sit there and observe. So it's like something I don't know, I'll just be quiet and just soak in as much information as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody in New York?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know anybody in New York either. And when it happened, I remember kind of the similar situation too, where I was like in the cafeteria seeing it happen on the TVs that were hanging there.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have happened around like our lunch period or something.
Probably.
But I could have sworn they sent us home though. I kind of remember being sent home when that happened. Do you remember that at all?
I don't. But I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I just don't remember.
I don't know. I have a vague recollection of them sending us home. I remember thinking like I didn't understand how important and how catastrophic it was while it was happening. I remember kind of feeling like this sort of shit happens all the time, and I didn't realize like how big of a deal it was.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at like the initial moment. So I remember like going home and seeing it just basically that was the only thing that was on TV and kind of putting it together and figuring out what the hell it was, like you said, just sort of observing the shit. But it always felt like, isn't this something that happens? And it finally clicked that this was something devastating that occurred. And I guess for me, it sparked the notion that we were vulnerable as a country or susceptible to threats and impending attacks like that. Things like, I'm sure tons of countries in Europe and Africa and South America, where there are countries out there that are facing war and missile threats like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's something that we never, at least myself, I never thought of or had a fear of. So it was, I don't know. At first, for me, it was like, shit, what? I don't understand. Why is everybody freaking out about this? Like, doesn't this happen? And then it clicked like, oh shit, no, this doesn't happen. This is huge. This doesn't happen to America. And whether you believe like all the conspiracy theories surrounding it, it was still like how many people died during that?
Ooh.
It was like 2,000-3,000, I think.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when you're a kid, depending on who raised you, I guess.
Yeah.
You're not aware of all the awful things that America is capable of or that they're responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're a kid, like I was 13 at the time. I was, what was I, 8th grade? Yeah, I was in 8th grade. And you can't fathom why somebody would want to destroy the country or why someone would want to destroy buildings or hurt so many people. And I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about it, but it's very hard to understand something like that at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were in high school, you said you were a junior, RC?
Yes.
So when you were a junior in high school and this was all going on, like what was the vibe like at school? Do you remember?
It was, yeah. Oh, that I remember. Yeah, it was. I don't want to use the wrong words, but like it was kind of like it was dead.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
It was like no energy. No one sort of flowing through that building. Yeah.
Jeez.
It was very somber. Like the teachers and stuff. Like I don't remember any sense of panic or anything from like even what do you call them, like the authorities or whatever in the school.
Yeah.
The teachers and all that. And that's why I kind of remember just being slowly sent home. But yeah, it was dead. I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
See, and what they did, it was kind of the same thing. I don't mind saying what school I went to. I was in junior high at Forest Trail at the time. I don't remember the teacher's name, but it was, I want to say it was probably after lunch. We went into my social studies class. The teacher sat us down and he sat on the desk and was just kind of like, all right, well, and he was just like, I have to tell you all something. You have to, just kind of remain calm, don't panic. No, we're fine here. We're okay. But a plane was just flown into the World Trade Center. Now, at the time when he told us this, Actually, I'm sorry, it was before lunch. But when he told us this, at that time, I think it was only one plane had flown into it. He's like, so instead of having our normal class today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to watch the news. And, he was like, this is a very important step in our country's culture and a part of our history that we need to know about. Yeah. So he wheeled the little TV in. We watched the news. And then while we were watching the news, he was like, he just kind of cussed. He was like, holy shit. He was like, I did not know that there were two planes. And then there at the bottom, there was something about the third plane over at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what is going on? I'll never forget the look he gave us. You could tell he was terrified, but he just could not show that to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy in there. Like in the classroom, we were 12, 13. Most of us in there didn't give a shit. But I remember thinking, at that time I like to think of myself, even a little bit today, a little patriotic. Like I love this country. I don't care for the people that are in it, like the people that run it. But the idea of America to me is incredible. And I would not want to be anywhere else. It's just the people that run it, I think, are awful. But that's a whole different topic.
Right.
But that day, we went home early. I had to meet my sister because she was going to a different school, but we met up to go home. We get home. She's crying. She's 11 at the time. And she's like, what's going on? Are we going to get hurt? I remember having to calm her down. Like, no, we're fine. I mean, we live in a relatively small town in Illinois. We're miles away from Chicago. If anything were to happen in Chicago, we probably wouldn't even notice unless it was through the news or something like that. So we're fine.
I kind of remember there being like fear that they could come to Chicago and there was something that was potentially going to happen there.
Yeah.
I remember kind of having a fear of that as it started getting close. And I remember like having dreams throughout that week of like just the world collapsing and just crazy shit. And like that like enhanced my fear of what was going on just as that month went on.
Yeah. Yeah. It was rough around here. It was very rough during that time period.
Because it took a while to get any real information about what actually happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
the type of planes flying into a building, we didn't really know much.
Yeah. Like you said, we definitely didn't have all the information, but you guys had a slight advantage because you were of age. You were in high school, so you had a little bit, you probably paid a little bit more attention than I did. Like I wasn't scared. I was just more of like, I just remember thinking a lot of people died and it sucks because, I was an emotional kid and I didn't like anybody to die,
Right.
I was that type of guy kid back then where I'd give my life for a stranger if it meant protecting them. Now,
what a hero!
Not now. No, don't give me that. Now, no.
Now things have changed.
Yes. Yeah, people. I realize how horrible people are. So I would still protect as much as I could, but not if it meant me not coming home.
I mean, I don't think I knew anything about like terrorists or Al Qaeda or any involvement with those countries with the U.S. before 9/11 and those. So I don't think I had really any insight into any extra insight that was going on with the world.
Now, here's a heavy question for you all. Do you remember I don't know if I want to. Okay, you remember the disdain people had for people of Muslim faith or any of that? Like, do you remember how horrible Muslim people were treated during that time?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I haven't physically seen it like from my own eyes, but watching news and all that stuff and the things on the internet. Yes. After that, yeah, it was crazy. It was
rough.
Yes.
Yeah, that got really out of hand and that was horrible. And then I think we started seeing like more coverage on news about all the threats that Qaeda and bin Laden, were sending videotapes and shit. And that became the whole topic of conversation for the next like 4 years.
Yeah. That was the first time I had ever really seen any acts of terrorism. Like I had never heard anything like that ever.
But wasn't there an attempt on the World Trade Towers years before this happened?
Yeah, I think it was 94, 5.
It was like a bomb threat, right?
Yeah, I think it was a bomb threat. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think someone didn't. This sounds awful, but I think someone drove a truck through, or a van or something through the World Trade Center lobby, and they actually detonated it, but it wasn't enough to wipe out the whole building.
I don't know. Maybe I was just that clueless, or it wasn't covered as much, or I don't know. But like, I didn't know that happened until like listening to Biggie rap about it. I'm like, wait a minute, how's he talking about 9/11 and he already dead? Like, oh well, no.
Yeah,
this happened already.
Yeah.
Blow up like a World Trade.
You know what I think it is, man, and I know there's a ton of listeners who are probably agreeing with me. Well, there may be some who disagree, but I think the reason why we heard about that more, or we hear about any crime when it's not a white person. So when it's like the first World Trade Center bombing, if I'm remembering correctly, it was just a middle-aged white guy. Like he had glasses, a hoodie, or something like that. It was big enough news, but first of all, it was a. This is going to sound horrible. I'm not trying to compare the two. Like it's not an accomplishment or it's not a big enough feat, but that was just a bombing. And I think it just wiped out like some of the lobby or something like that. Right. Whereas 9/11, we're talking multiple airlines were, hijacked midair and flown into a building and took the whole building down, 2 whole buildings down. And then there was an attempt on, the third building, which we don't even know if that's what they were going for. Obviously we can't ask them or anything like that, but I think the 9/11 one, and it was a much, much bigger thing globally because it was really the first time that our enemies had really taken a hit at us like that. Probably not since Pearl Harbor.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm like thinking of, what was that during the Cold War when they had all the bomb drills where you had to hide under your desk and shit?
Yeah, well, you're talking about like the Cuban Missile Crisis or not Bay of Pigs, but the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was probably a huge ordeal. But again, I mean, there was no actual violence at that time.
Yeah, but there was a threat and a notion of a threat that we didn't grow up through knowing.
True.
So that was all before our years, and then us growing up, America's protected. We're far from anything. And then something like this happens. That's what I mean. Puts it into perspective. Like, fuck, there is this whole global thing that we really need to pay attention to.
Well, do you remember a few years ago, the Hawaii incident?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
As he calls me out for being more observant of global affairs. Oh, that thing that happened like last year. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, this was a couple years ago. Now, first of all, if you don't know, I'm a huge fan of Tulsi Gabbard. Right, she was running for president. She was absolutely my pick to be president, and she is a senator from Hawaii. A couple years ago, there was how there's a text message alert that they send out to all residents of wherever, and it's supposed to basically give you like a warning whenever there's impending danger.
Yes.
So they were running a test, and some idiot hit the wrong button. And instead of the message going out, instead of saying this is a test, he sent out the message that says this is not a test. Please take cover immediately. And the real panic, and it was isolated to Hawaii, where they were pretty much saying, Hawaii's a target. This is where the missiles are going. We're back and forth with North Korea, so we're thinking, oh shit, maybe they figured out a way to hit us. Think about how many people may have killed themselves. Because they were like, dude, I'm not burning up from a missile. Like, I don't want to blow up. I'd rather just check myself out. Right. Think about how many people killed themselves. And then there were reports of like parents were putting their kids down in storm drains. Storm drains is kind of like bomb shelters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was a horrible moment. You don't see too many people talk about it too much, but I've also never been to Hawaii. So I don't, it could still very well be well talked about in Hawaii, but now because it was just one state that was kind of affected, it kind of blew over.
Interestingly enough, that whole story comes up in video game design, oddly enough, because it's a testament to UX and UI game design. Because if I remember, he was the guy that did that. It was like a drop-down menu or like an easy to miss or easy to cause button to press to make that happen.
Mhm.
And so like UX and UI designers will use that as a case study in the importance of UI UX design in video game design
Mhm.
because of how easily user flow can cause errors and thinking about that in your head while you're designing these things. That little error that caused crazy amount of panic and potential life loss, as Derek or as Phantom
That's not
mentioned,
good.
or Rick or whatever, Dick,
Whoa.
bitch, ho, what are we calling you these days?
I hate you, Chuck. I hate you Chuck, so much.
Oh, he remembers that conversation. from
Yes,
last time.
yes, I do. But yeah, you're right though. Like for that to have been such an easy mistake, and I'm like, they fired that guy, and I think he did like some sort of lawsuit because he was kind of like, hey, like it's your system, you designed it. It was an honest mistake. It's not like he, intentionally did that. Like I think they were investigating him too, if I'm not mistaken. Because
Yeah, I don't remember all the details of that, but I know
Yeah.
the initial thought was that it was just human error on a shitty system.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard went on the Joe Rogan podcast and talked about it. And she said it was just a human error. Guy hit a button and he hit button A instead of button B, and that's what happened. It wasn't North Korea, it wasn't China or anything like that. It was just a human error.
Right.
But think about how many people took their own lives. Or like she told a story of a guy who had a child on each end of the state and was like, shit, which child do I spend my last moments with? Like,
wow.
do I go to my son on the west side or my daughter on the east side? And that's some horrible thing to have to think about. People need to be careful, man. Just pay attention to what you're doing and, just be careful.
Are you talking to the new guy in charge of that button?
Yeah. Like whoever's in charge of the button in Illinois, please don't press the wrong button. Okay.
Especially in this state.
Yeah. Don't tinker around and be like, I'm gonna press the wrong button, see what happens. No, don't do that. Please don't. Because I don't want to have to think about how am I gonna protect my children.
Do you know if was there any warnings or heads up on when from the time the planes were known to be hijacked to the point of impact?
I don't remember when the planes were hijacked to when they made impact. I do remember there was a little time between plane 1 and plane 2 hitting the trade centers. I don't know, man. Like, to be quite honest with you, I'm saving a few ideas for the conspiracy theory episode.
Yeah.
I have quite a few thoughts on the whole day, and I don't know if this is the episode to share that.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. And, this is meant to get our feelings on the day of. And then over the years, there was a lot of things that came out. You don't want to take away from the fact that it did happen. The cause and how it was set up and planned, that can all be discussed. But
Right.
Planes did crash into a building, whether they were what made them fall all the way down and blah, 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 blah. But, like I said, 2,000 to 3,000 people died, probably triple that amount injured, and firefighters that risked their lives going into those buildings and saving people, and the heroics that came out of that.
Yes.
And the sense of patriotism and togetherness that a lot of people felt at that moment obviously dissipated afterwards as, racism and evil took toll and people began getting targeted and the bullshit that came from that. It's such a mess and it's crazy. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, the people, like the first responders and firefighters, police officers, I should say, they, even though I wasn't in New York, I don't know anybody who was in New York at the time. For all the first responders and all them, I have a huge deal of respect for those people, because how do you look at two giant buildings like that? There's a hole in one of the buildings, 100 feet, 1,000 feet in the air, and your job is to go up there and help people.
Shit.
You know, like I'm afraid of heights, my guy. Like I'm looking up like, yo, I don't know if I do it.
That's why you run in podcasts and not.
That's exactly why.
Shit.
That's exactly why I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a police officer. No,
He's not even helping the kitten that's like 10 feet up in that tree.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But like to have that kind of courage, all the first responders for that day, all firemen, everyone in any sort of public service should be taken care of. They should never be homeless. They should never have to worry about how they feed their families. You hear the stories about first responders who are now dealing with cancer because of the fallouts from 9/11.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I remember Jon Stewart from The Daily Show. He got up in front of like some committee and was crying and was like passionately saying like, hey, these people went up 1,000 stories to save our citizens. They should never need to figure out how they're going to pay for dinner.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, they should be taken care of for life. For life. I don't want to hear anyone talk about deficits in the country or where do we get the money from. Like if we have money to build bombs, we have money to take care of our people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And dude,
a plaque is cool and all, you know, like list the names, but yeah, there should be sincere compensation or whatever.
Yeah, compensation.
For that type of shit.
Yeah, they should never need anything. It should never be a question of, do we have the money to take care of these people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, now I think you could make the argument that I think all firefighters should be like that, or all medical professionals. You could even go as far as to say teachers. Teachers are just as important as firemen in a lot of cases. You know, they're helping shape people's lives. Teachers are kind of like, and I'm not just saying this because of Tasha being a Patreon supporter. I do think teachers are incredibly important, you know, and
motherfucker is lying.
Shout out to Tasha. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's I was curious about that. You know, I really wanted to see what you guys were up to at that time. There are a few other topics like this. I think 9/11 is probably the biggest one that we all share.
Yeah.
Whereas like something that may have only specifically happened to RC or specifically to Jess, I was about to call you Justina for some reason. hey,
I'll take it for the nicknames that I just called you a few minutes ago.
But yeah, you know, like if there's definitely certain incidents that happen specifically to one of us, but I think we all have our own 9/11 story. And for people listening, let us know in the comments, you know, shoot us messages. Let us know like what happened with you during that time.
Yeah, it's one of those things that has impacted everybody in the United States. Everybody that was, you know, alive during the time knows and is aware of that incident. Every time September 11th comes around each year, we all, I'm sure, think about it, even just for a moment. Where were we on that day? Mm-hmm. And that to me is what's kept it in my mind so much, is because, you know, every year I'm layering on memories from that time. And while I wasn't directly impacted, it sort of enforces how important that moment was each year that September 11th comes around. Mm-hmm. And it's important to remember, and it's important to realize what happened and keep it real, that, you know, we're not just this big, powerful country that sits over here by itself that can't be affected by things. And then it leads a pathway to potential things with Korea and Russia and all these other major countries. And as technology gets better, the water mass between the continents isn't a factor.
Yeah.
No more like it used to be. Yeah. I'll see that.
I don't know. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about on the subject? What did you said you know what you had for breakfast that morning? What did you have?
I had Eggo waffles, and then I had those
of course you had waffles.
Of course. Shut up. I will never forgive Charlemagne for coming up with that. I don't know if he who originated it,
I believe he was. Honestly.
Yeah, I think he was too.
Yeah.
But Charlamagne, if you ever hear this, I hate you, dude, for coming up with waffle colored Negroes. I hate you so much for coming up with that. But
so you had waffles.
Yeah, I had waffles and like sausage. It was like microwave. But the only reason why I remembered what I had because I actually carried the waffles I had wrapped it around in a paper towel, and then I carried that and ate that on my way to the bus.
He had sausages in his pocket.
No, I didn't go that far. I should have, but I just rolled it all into paper towel and was just kind of eating it like a sandwich.
He's like in the cafeteria at school while this is all going on, like slowly pulling a sausage out of his pocket, taking it up to his mouth. Yeah, with the tater tots.
Yeah, doing a very similar thing.
No.
This is what is happening in the country right now. Sausage bite.
Right. Like, hey, man, like, I'm sorry what's going on, but I mean, it's not going to fill my stomach. I mean, Jeez.
Well, I guess that about wraps things up here. Shorter episode than usual, but we really wanted to talk about this moment as something that has affected us all. And as Phantom mentioned, we want to hear your stories while we were all at school. Where were you? What was going through your mind at this time? And what were the reactions during this moment in history? And that's something we didn't touch on too much. This is something that is marked in the history books now as a major thing that we were a part of, something we'll be able to tell our kids about. These stories that we talk about today in the years to come. We were there, we were a part of it, as we all were. So I'm glad we got to talk about this. It's something interesting and important and pivotal to our lives. So appreciate you guys sharing your stories, and we look forward to hearing your stories out there. Let us know in the Discord, Gamers Haven Network, baby. Before we wrap things up, we want to give a shout out to our current patron members, Tashamonetsims and Nerder She Wrote, continuing that lovely support for the Haven Exchange. Follow them on Twitch and go check out their content. We want to give a shout out also to the Gamers Haven Network. Hit us up in the community. Join the thriving content creators and awesome people that we got going on there with daily shout outs, weekly giveaways, and crazy monthly events. It's amazing, and you should be a part of it.
You should.
And as always, I am Genesis. You can find me on Twitch, Genesis_GH there, as well as Genesis_GHN on all the social medias. Follow the Gamers Haven Network on Twitter and Instagram as well for updates and sneak peeks at current and future episodes of the Haven Exchange. Phantom, what's going on in your world?
Well, I am still increasing I'm still improving my Twitch presence. So I am still streaming twitch.tv/Phantom_GH. Definitely check me out there if you want to see stupid memes and political conversations. Check me out on Twitter at Phantom_GHN. That's pretty much it for right now.
Were you starting a new podcast show? The thoughts of a dumb bitch.
Yeah.
Was that upcoming?
No, you know what? It is upcoming, and our first guest is the one and only, the lovely. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to. I gotta remember.
At a 5, he was gonna go to a 12.
Yep. I was gonna go dark, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. It was about Chuck, by the way. It wasn't gonna be about
yeah, of course. I was wondering. I'm like, I wonder who he's gonna pick for this sentence.
Yeah, my go-to insults are it's either Kurt, Chuck. Maybe I'll sprinkle in a little Justin. I don't know if you guys know this Justin character, but what a dirtbag!
What a dirtbag!
But that's it for me. That's pretty much, Twitter, Twitch. I did hit affiliate on Twitch, so if you haven't already, please give me a follow, subscribe. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Mr. Subwoofer, Big RC. Where can the people follow you?
As always, you can check me out at twitch.tv/BigRC_GH. Also on the social media at Instagram and Twitter, BigRC56, and also on YouTube, where you get to check out my different playlists I have going on at youtube.com/BigRC56.
He's a real ghost hunter on there.
Bro, his playlist on YouTube is fire.
But have you watched the spooky ones yet?
No, I haven't checked them out.
You're too scared. I know it. It's understandable.
Oh, no. Okay.
I'm too scared. Shit.
Nope. I'm going to do it as soon as we get done.
All right. Then I might as well update it today as well. So
might as well. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Haven Exchange. Stay tuned next Wednesday for another all new episode and see what's in store from us over here. So thank you all. We love you. Goodbye.
Peace.
Yeah.
This is the Haven Exchange.